can't believe it. What?
Tonight, a nation in grief as the death of Ghana's first president of the Fourth Republic, Jerry John Rawlings, leaves in his wake a great sense of loss.
We have lost a monumental political figure and an icon. It's just too much a blow for us at this time as a party. I haven't worked with him for some years now since we parted company. But when I heard the news, I shed some tears.
With just 25 days to the elections, both the NDC and the MPP have called off their campaigns, with President Akufo-Addo announcing 7 days of national mourning.
The President has declared a suspension of all campaign activity, and we are all going to observe that. It is a very sad day for Ghana.
We are live tonight across the country and the globe as tributes pour in for a man known popularly simply as JJ.
I don't believe it. You can't believe it. What? My only daddy.
Well, Ghana is today mourning the passing of its first president of the Fourth Republic, Jerry John Rawlings, who died today at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. President Akufo-Addo has declared 7 days of national mourning. The late President Rawlings, his own party, he founded the NDC and the governing MPP, have both suspended campaigns with 25 days to the elections. A short while ago, the family of JJ Rawlings issued a statement. My colleague Ernest Menu has details of that, Ernest.
So the statement is signed by the daughter of the former president, the late president now, Jerry John Rawlings, Donata Rawlings. It says that it is with deep sadness that the family of His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings retired informs the general public that the former president of the Republic passed away on Thursday morning after a short illness. The family requests privacy at this difficult moment. Details of funeral arrangements will be announced in due course.
And we're getting a bit more about the circumstances of his passing today from a statement also issued from the presidency, signed by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic himself.
So the president, in that statement, the second paragraph says this tragic event occurred at 10:10 a.m. on Thursday, the 12th November 2020, at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where the former president was receiving treatment after a short illness. I conveyed the deep sympathies of government and the people of Ghana to his wife, the former First Lady, Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings, the children and family of the late president in these difficult times. I have directed that all national flags fly at half-mast for the next 7 days in all parts of the country, and have declared 7 days of national mourning from Friday the 13th of November to Friday the 20th of November in honor of the memory of the former President Rawlings. The Vice President and I have suspended our political campaigns for the same period.
And we also know the government is going to work closely with the family of President Rawlings on the arrangements for a fitting state funeral for the late president, and then we'll keep the nation also informed accordingly. And of course, it concludes that, of course, may his soul rest in perfect peace. I want to bring in now my presidential correspondent, who's been finding out a bit more about the passing of the former President Rawlings. Now the picture is beginning to be clearer about what really happened to him. Also joining me right now on the telephone line is the head of our health desk, Fred Smith, who spent all day at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where, of course, as we now know, the former president was on admission and died in a 10 a.m. Today. Let me go first to Elton. Elton, what more do we know?
In the next few minutes, we'll get to know more details relating to the unfortunate demise of former President Jerry Rawlings, because the family is currently meeting President Akufo-Addo here at the 4th floor of the Jubilee House. The former minister, the Nabodapip, is leading this delegation. Also in this meeting is the Member of Parliament for Kwale-Klote, Dr. Zenata Rawlings, the eldest daughter of the former president, and the other daughters. The only person missing from the nucleus family of the ex-president, the late ex-president, is the son Kimati Rawlings. So they're currently meeting with President Akufo-Addo. This is for them to officially inform him of the passing of the former president, Jerry Rawlings, which took place this morning at 10 a.m. at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. As customary demands, they will brief president on what the last moments were leading to his demise, and then we'll hear response from President Akufo-Addo. The earlier directive was that President Akufo-Addo was going to go to the house to commiserate with them, but that was cancelled, and the family, they've come here to officially told him, to officially tell him. Then after that, President Akufo-Addo also wanted to take a visit to the house to commiserate with them. So information relating to the last moments, we are told that at some point he was taken to the ICU of Kolebu Teaching Hospital when things got worse, leading to his unfortunate demise. Information came in at the time President Akufo-Addo was holding a joint news conference with the visiting interim president of Mali, and the mood in the foyer of the Jubilee House changed right after that. And there's been development from that time up to now. But what we are all waiting to hear is what were the last moments, what occasioned it, and how did he go? These are the information all of us here at the fourth floor are waiting to hear from the family, led by Mr. Dana Budape, together with the daughters of the former president.
Elton, stay with me. I want to go now to my colleague Fred Smith, who's been at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for us all day. Fred, you've been at Kolebu for a while. You worked your sources there. What more are you learning?
Well, Evans, today we do understand that the former president died at 10 a.m., but he was brought to that facility sometime 3 days ago, and COVID samples were taken for COVID testing. Results came in yesterday, and they realized that they needed to move him from the cardiothoracic center where he had been receiving treatment, and was moved to the medical ICU where the doctors wanted to stabilize him because of his condition. The sources are alleging that this COVID test came out positive and maybe the cause of death.
And at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital yourself, I noticed that there was a lot of security present. Many people had gathered. Doctors themselves were left in utter shock at this tragic news.
Yes, indeed. At the time I got to Kolebu, there wasn't any security. I was told an hour before I got there, some military men were around, and the first daughter, Zenata Rawlings, was also present, but they left before I came in. But whilst there, other media men joined me, and that's when we saw a number of police deployed to that area, and we are not sure exactly what may have occasioned that, but they were present and had to later leave.
Elton, are we expecting the president to address the country tonight after he's finished his meeting with the family of Mr. Rawlings?
Evans, there's no such indication as of now. But what we do know is that President Akufo-Addo will take advantage of the visit by the family of the late president to say some few words relating to an official broadcast we are unaware of as of now. The meeting is just about starting, and then we will hear from both sides, the family and President Akufo-Addo. Government has already indicated that it will support the family in these very trying times, support financially relating to organization and everything. The family themselves have been unclear as to the way forward, because this is clearly going to be a state, sponsored funeral. These details are yet to come up. But what is of importance right now, as far as this meeting is concerned, is for President Akufo-Addo to have first-hand information relating to the last moments of our late former president, and then we'll hear his own, words, his own comments, how he would describe him beyond the statement that has already come out, declaring 7 days of mourning and flags flying at half-mast effective tomorrow. And I can say for sure that even here at the Jubilee House, even though the date for the flags are flying at half-mast starting tomorrow morning, flags here at the Jubilee House, they've all gone down to the middle level, giving indication that it's already started to take effect, even though the effective date is tomorrow. Like I said earlier on, this is clearly going to be an opportunity for President Nkrumah to be told about the last moment. That's what all of us are here, eagerly waiting to hear.
Elton, thank you very much. Fred, thank you very much as well. We'll be going to the hometown of the now late former President Jerry John Rawlings shortly. We'll also be going to his home here in Accra very shortly. But here's a news desk report on the life of a man we mourn today.
Jerry John Rawlings was born in June 1947 in Accra, Ghana, to Victoria Adbatui from Jolikope, Keta, and James Ramsey John, a chemist from Castle Douglas in Scotland. On May 15, 1979, Rawlings and 6 other soldiers staged a coup d'etat against the government of General Fred Akufo, but failed and was arrested. On June 4, 1979, Rawlings led another coup to oust the Akufo government and Supreme Military Council. He became the chairman of a 15-member Armed Forces Revolutionary Council AFRC, which ruled the country for 112 days. On 24th of September 1979, power was peacefully handed over by Rawlings to President Hilary Liman. On 31st of December 1981, Rawlings ousted President Hilary Liman in another coup d'etat, claiming that civilian rule was weak and the country's economy was deteriorating. He established the Provisional National Defense Council (PNDC).
That a coup will not succeed if the atmosphere...
The military junta as the official government. Rawlings established the National Commission on Democracy (NTD) shortly after the 1982 coup and employed it to survey civilian opinion and make recommendations that would facilitate the process of democratic transition.
People like to make all kinds of claims about Rawlings, that he didn't want to hand over. Absolute rubbish. I will use this occasion to tell them something that they never imagined. Had we, any one of us, dared to suggest that we're going to stay on for one more day, we would have lost the complete support of the masses.
In 1992, Rawlings founded the National Democratic Congress (NDC). On 7th January 1993, the same day that the new constitution came into effect and the government became known as the Fourth Republic of Ghana, he became president. He was re-elected in 1996 for 4 more years. In November 2000, Rawlings was named the first International Year of Volunteers 2001 eminent person by the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, attending various events and conferences to promote volunteerism. Rawlings attended Achimota School and the Military Academy at Teshi. He was married to Nanakude Dwajima Rawlings, who he met while at Achimota School.
Get it?
5 years.
5.
Went to master the courage.
After I'd left the school and come back.
That's when she finally...
One Saturday, with a gang of friends, when we went to their house, and I sent for her. I didn't think she would come, and she did.
Aww.
And I saw her. She had mellowed. She used to be a little too hostile towards me. I'd be showing interest in her lineup of friends just so I could walk alongside them. I'm telling you. My bro.
Mr. Rawlings has 3 daughters, Zanetta Rawlings, who is currently a member of parliament on the ticket of the NDC. There is also Yasantua Rawlings, Amina Rawlings, and a son, Kimothy Rawlings. Mr. Rawlings recently buried his mother, Victoria Adbatui, who was 101 years. Jerry John Rawlings will be remembered as Ghana's democratically elected president who served the longest and perhaps handed the country one of its greatest assets, democracy.
Christianize me if you may, but don't try to Europeanize me. Climate is not calling for it.
I want to now take you live now to the hometown of the late former President Rawlings, where my colleague Kwame Asari has been speaking to his family. Also, we'll be going live to his home here in Accra, where Parker Wilson is standing by as people filing to, of course, commiserate and express their sympathies to the family. In the studio with me is my colleague Kojo Yang Singh. Of course, he became something of a friend to the now late former president. Let me go to Fred Kwame Asari now. Fred, thank you very much for the good work you're doing today as speaking to the family in the Volta region. To be very specific, Fred, where exactly are you?
Evans, I am in Jericho, that is the hometown of the late president's mother. I am actually at the family house. Some family members have been meeting. They were here to receive people who would pass by to mourn with them. I spoke to the family head who mentioned that, yes, indeed, he received the news, though it has not been communicated to them officially, but he used a channel and communicated with one family member who confirmed the death of the former president. He mentioned that the former president was in the community last Sunday, where he visited the late mother's graveyard, and then mentioned that he would come back and then sit with them to plan for the 40 days rites of the late mother. But now that he's dead, they don't know what to do. They are really saddened by this news. He also mentioned that the plans for the 40 days rites is distorted. As of now, they'd have to hold on planning that, and then also wait on a communication from the family in Accra as to what to do next. He described the late president as a father for all. He mentioned that even though he is a president, anytime he visits the community, he's approachable by all. Anybody at all can just walk to him and then share his views or concerns with him, and then he has been helping them as well. So his demise comes to the family as a great shock.
Obviously, what have they been told? Have they been formally been informed about the circumstance surrounding it? This must have come to them, as he said, a great shock, especially when he was there just a week ago.
Come again with the question.
I mean, just asking. I mean, have they been giving any formal briefing about what may have happened to, of course, their son in this case? And they tell you about their shock. I understand that, especially when they just seen him just a little over a week ago, and had just recently been there to bury his own mother.
Yes, like I said earlier, the family had told me that they've not received official communications from the family in Accra. He only used a channel that he used to confirm the death of the late president's mother. So as to the death or the cause of death of the late president, they have not been informed on what killed the late president.
What are people there generally telling you? I can imagine that the people may have thronged the family house today, either to sympathize or to commiserate.
Well, some few people who are related to the family have been visiting the family house to mourn with them. I spoke to some relatives who described Rawlings as one. Anytime he visits the community is charged in the sense that they all love him, and that he reigns from their community. They are proud of him, and then also anytime he is in the community, the entire community throngs to the family house to at least have a glimpse of him. So they describe him as a man for all, and that the death has really hit them hard, and then it comes to them as a shock. They wished he could have lived on earth, or he could have lived for a while before joining his maker.
Fred, thank you very much. I want to now go to my colleague Ivy Setoji, who's been gauging reactions in part of the Volta region to the death of former President Rawlings tonight. Ivy, you've been receiving news of the death of the former president and speaking to people in the Volta region, and we know how close he was to that part of the country. He called it home. He had his own home there in Vume. What are people been telling you today?
Well, the people of the Volta region have been in Panto and Ho earlier. They are very sad about the sad news of the former president. Most of them are saying that they wish that he was still alive, at least to witness the December election before anything happens. They are not happy about the issue. They are surprised about his sudden death. According to them, they've not heard anything about any sickness or anything that happened, and then all they heard was he died. Most of them are still are yet to come to terms with this sad news. According to them, they don't believe what is happening, even though most of them went to the family house to get the facts from there, but still they are still not happy. They don't believe what is happening. At the campus of Keta Senior High School, students were heard crying, even teachers, because according to them, he was one of a role model, or he was their role model, and him dying just like that without hearing of any sickness was just sad.
Ivy, apologies. I need to interrupt. Stay with me because I want to take you live now to the Jubilee House, where the family of late former President Jerry John Rawlings are now briefing formally the President of the Republic, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I want to take you there live right now.
Thank you very much. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Honorable Chief of Staff, members of the government, as it has been said, a great tragedy has befallen us as a country and as a family. Some 4 weeks ago, we were here to inform the presidency of the death of our mother, our grandmother, our sister, and the president, because of his special love for the ex-president, the former president, assisted us a lot in the burial of our mother. Just some few weeks or some few days after the burial, the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, fell sick and was hospitalized. A lot of efforts were made. I know the president was in touch with his brother. Little did we know that former president will leave us. So we've come here formally to inform the president and the entire government that this is what has happened. It is true. Jerry John Rawlings is no more. And we deem it appropriate to come and inform you officially. And with me, the delegation is Colonel Joshua Botri, Honorable Senator Rawlings, Mr. Michael Susudis, Santua Rawlings, Amina Rawlings, and then Cecilia Aholu, and then Richard Uncle Richard. Real Captain Richard Fojo. So we've come this evening to formally inform you of what has befallen us and has befallen the nation. Thank you very much.
If you're just joining us, we're now listening into a formal briefing at Jubilee House where the family of the late former President Rawlings is briefing the President on his passing.
Members of the Rawlings family. First of all, I have to welcome you to the seat of the presidency of our country, to Jubilee House, and extend my deepest condolence and sympathies to the family. To now, we have to call her his widow, children, brothers, cousins, the entire family. I was given this information this morning when I arrived at the office, and I found it hard up to now to really incorporate, assimilate the information. He's a man of great vitality, dynamism and energy. It's very difficult to conceive of him as a dead body lying in a morgue. But then, I think one of the things that all of us have got to get used to is that the Almighty has His own plans for each one of us. And improbable as some things may be, nevertheless they happen. It's a moment for reflection and for continuing to believe in His purpose, that He has a purpose for each one of us. And as it appears, former President's work here on earth has come to an end. He and I had a tempestuous relationship going over many, many years. But I believe that we came to see value in each other. That's how I put it, by the end. Extremely disturbed and saddened by his passage. He's not an ordinary Ghanaian. He was the first president of our Fourth Republic, a man who held the supreme office in Ghana, and therefore his passage has to be a matter for the Ghanaian nation. I know the feeling of family on such an occasion, but I think that you would understand if I say that on the death of such a man, precedence has to be given to the state of Ghana. So the Chief of Staff, their office, will be in touch with Colonel Abutri and the family, and Akonedo Ajiman Rawlings, for us to agree on how we proceed. Time for funeral, all those things have to be agreed upon, but that the state has to pull out all the stops and make sure that he's given a most befitting and dignified exit. I'm determined to do that. I think his contribution to this country's history is there for all to see. And at the end, he's had to leave. I think a grateful nation should show its appreciation of him in the manner in which it organizes his send-off. So I'd like you to tell a former First Lady that there is a decision that I've taken. We're going to give him a state funeral, and that between her and the Chief of Staff, whatever arrangements that have to be made will be made. Clearly, the wishes of the family cannot be ignored, and they will not be ignored. But at the end of the day, the actual processes will be the processes of the Ghanaian nation. Just give him a befitting send-off. So I'm appreciate very much your coming to inform me fully and formally of this development. When I was informed about it, I did, through the Chief of Staff, inform the family that having regard to who he was, I believe that the announcement of his death to the country should be the responsibility of the President. And it is on that basis that I had issued a statement announcing formally the death of President Rawlings. So that therefore provides us with the framework within which we can go forward. I know the Colonel very well from a long time ago. I know his attachment to his nephew, and the beautiful children, how they must be truly shattered by what has happened today. I extend my deepest condolence to you, to your sisters, and to your brother. It's not going to be an easy time for you these days ahead of us. But I'm sure that some of the strength in him is in you as well. So we'll find a way of being able to accommodate the development. I want to thank you once again for coming to give us this news in a formal manner. We're Ghanaians and we know how these things are done. But as I say, on the part of the state, no effort will be spared to make sure that the President is sent off like a president, a man who has held the highest office. For many people, the founder of the Fourth Republic, and we should honor him as such.
With Excellency, we are thankful for your kind words and the plans that you have for the burial of the former President Jerry John Rawlings. Our hearts are very heavy at this time, and we just want to say thank you for all the promises, and we hope we'll give our brother fitting burial. Thank you. Some drink. Yeah. As tradition demands, we brought some drinks to formally announce the death. So let's take one as a
So formally, the head of the family who led the delegation is now presenting the customary drink to the President. So if you just joined us, that formal briefing is over. The family of the late Jerry John Rawlings just finished formally briefing the president of his passing this morning at 10:10 a.m. At the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The president, in his remarks, described the former president as a man of great vitality, dynamism, and energy. With me in the studio is Kojo Yangsing. With me also is George Riafe, who has been digging up about Mr. Rawlings' part of his legacy about the economic transformation that he had to lead at the time when Ghana was struggling in the from the 83s, when the folks like us were born, all till the democratic rule, when the structural adjustment program was in place. He's going to be telling us a bit more about that. But this must be pretty hard for the family, and you grew pretty close to them.
Yeah, he used to call me Sugar.
Who used to call you Sugar?
Former President Rawlings.
I see.
It was just his way of teasing me about the sugar project, and he was very interested in what I was doing there. But I will always remember the long conversations we had late into the night at his home in Vume on the Volta Lake in South Africa, where he introduced me to the very best rice and fish sauce I've ever eaten in my life. Where he taught me how to fire a rifle.
I see.
And when I first met him, actually, I was taken to meet him by a mutual friend, and we went to his home in Airport. He and his family have a number of homes across Accra. They are all built with the same distinct brick. You see that brick outside the house, it belongs to the Rawlingses. Now, we entered the house, and there was a big, well-appointed house in the center of the compound. And to the side, there was a garage, and there were some rooms above the garage, sort of the boys' quarters. He slept in the boys' quarters. That was where he lived.
I see.
With a bird cage outside. He never ever outgrew the barracks. He didn't like creature comforts. He didn't care about, living a luxurious life. He was always down to earth. And another thing, he was super cautious about this virus. Every time we talked about coronavirus in 2020, he talked about how he's making sure he's limiting his contact with people. You notice how he was growing his hair. He wouldn't allow a barber to come and cut his hair. He's normally very well coiffed.
Oh, so that explained the beard he grew.
Absolutely.
It became almost like a professor.
He used to joke about how he looks like one of the African writers.
Okay, Sholinka or the...
Take your pick. And something people don't know, he actually shares blood relations with President Akufo-Addo.
I see.
Yes,
How?
His grandmother and Akufo-Addo's mother come from the same house in Akwemufi. As part of a news show that we're doing on the Joy News channel called Joy News Explore, I discovered this house in Akwemufi in the eastern region, where both Rawlings' grandmother and Akufo-Addo's mother were born. They are actually sisters, the two women.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about former President Rawlings that I will always remember is the fact that he didn't quite understand why people were not as passionate as he was. Yeah. He thought there was something wrong with everyone else for being so laid back about things like corruption, about poverty, about a lack of probity and accountability. He thought there was something wrong with everyone else. He used to often say, why are they not like me? And he couldn't hide whether he liked you or disliked you. He couldn't hide it. When he liked you, he would give you all his time, all of it.
Yeah.
And when he didn't like you, well, we all know what would happen.
I guess one of the things that struck me, and just coming back on what we just witnessed, is how he and Akufo-Addo mended that relationship after Akufo-Addo, as a foreign affairs minister, withdrew his diplomatic headspace.
Absolutely.
Eventually, restoring it, and sometime around the 14th April 2006, explained that the government had sort of reviewed the courtesies and found the need to restore it, and it still was a pretty difficult relationship until fairly recently at least, as it publicly, at least, that we saw that they became buddies again almost. Because, you know, you went there to when the mother died. That relationship quite blossomed quite nicely. I don't know whether you can let us into what may have happened.
He used to say to me, and this is perhaps the biggest insight into why he was able to redefine his relationship with the president. He used to say to me that, Kojo, your intentions are more important than your outcomes. He used to tell me that it matters more, like, why I'm doing it than what I'm doing. So if he felt like if he understood your intentions, he could forgive anything you did wrong, as long as he understood your intentions are good. And that, I think, is an insight into the reason why, even though he disagreed quite publicly with a lot of decisions that the president made as a foreign minister, once he got to understand the intentions of the president, he found common ground, and he was able to, he was able to live in harmony with him. And Evans, I'm never going to forget the last interaction I had with him.
How long ago was this?
Rawlings. This was right after the funeral of his mother. I sent him a long message. I told him that I'm sure he must be tired, after such a long engagement with all these people coming from around the world. He must be tired, and he must miss his mother greatly because he was very close to her. And I thought it was a very emotional message to which he was probably going to give me an emotional response. He sent me a video of a crab smoking a cigarette.
That's the man, Jerry.
He just wants you to laugh rather than cry.
Absolutely. Stay with me. I want to go to his home now in Accra. Parker Wilson is standing by. Parker, it's been a pretty busy day at the Accra Ridge home of the Rawlingses. Tell me what is the mood there is tonight. I've seen loads of people come and go. Okay, we'll get Parker's attention there shortly. As you can imagine, there's a flurry of activity currently at the Rawlings home here in Accra. I want to bring in George Yafe because George has business, but this is business relevant to what Mr. Rawlings' legacy is. George, just a second. Let me go to Parker back. He's at the Ridge home of Mr. Rawlings. Parker, what's the mood there now? On a day when hundreds of people across the country have been filing through to pay their respects and commiserate with the family.
Yes, Evans, it's a very sad situation here at the Ridge residence of the former president. Scores of any supporters are still here, some of them in a state of shock and disbelief. Some say they want to enter the premises to confirm for themselves that indeed the former president has passed on. But the security men who are here, right from this afternoon when they heard the news till now, are preventing them from entering the house. We are told that Dan Abadapi, the head of the family, is in the house receiving the NDC bigwigs who have come to the house to pay their respect and commiserate with the family. Ekos Spirgabra passed through, Prosper Bani, also Jifat Tivor and Alfred Warren have all been here to commiserate with the family. Now, for the supporters, they describe the man as their father because they say that they had been in the trenches with the former president right from 1979 to 82 throughout the year 2000, and even after he handed over the presidency in the year 2000, he's still been their idol and their father. And so for them, they are shocked that former President Rawlings would die at the time that the party is going for a major election in December. And so they've been crying. In fact, they've been wailing. About three of them that I interacted with a few ago were saying that he's still asleep and that they don't believe that the former president is dead. So if you come to a Ridge residence, it's a state of mourning and sadness that has engulfed a lot of people who have come here to sympathize with the family.
I mean, there have been some dignitaries passing through. The national campaign chairman of the party had been there, and they've been talking about what this means for them going forward with 25 days for an election, and of course the significant loss that they are going to of course they've experienced today with his passing, both for the party but also for the country.
For Alfred Warren, he says that Ghanaians should jealously gather constitution that would another memory of the former, because he said the country was on a rough path, when he stepped in to manage affairs. And going forward, he decided to design the constitution which is guiding us, or which has guided us since 1990. Now, for Jafar Tifo, he believes that the only thing the NDC party can do is to win the 2020 election to honor the memory of former President Jerry Rawlings, and that if they don't, what it means is that Rawlings died for nothing. And so she charged all members of the party that the demise of the former president should energize them, energize the grassroots, hit the streets, and campaign for their flag bearer, John Mahama, to win the 2020 election.
Well, Parker, thank you very much. George Afe is here with me, but I want to stay in the Volta region briefly, George. And Ivy Setoji is still with me. Ivy, you were giving me a sense of how the people in the region that you've been interacting with, what they've been saying about the man they knew as their father, their grandfather, their son, you name it, because of his affinity to his home region.
Yeah, so Evans, this is Papa J we are talking about, as the people of Volta region, especially those in Kesa, Jelukope, and Abutiakope, refers to him as Yovuvia. A lot of people are surprised about his death. People are shocked because it's something they were not expecting, especially not at this particular time when Ghana is preparing to go to the polls. People are waiting to see him celebrate with the NDC, maybe if they win, or maybe sympathize with them if they lose. So this is kind of confusing for the people of the region, especially the southern parts of the Volta region. People are not happy. They are asking, could it be that he was sick and no one heard it because he buried his mother just 2 weeks ago, and lots of people in Keta? Surprising. Even students who describe him as a role model were not happy. Some students and teachers had crying, So when you go to Keta, even in Ho, the town, these areas will just come. And people also earlier on told me that even though the sun was very hot, they had some kind of cool breeze passing through the town.
Yeah, it's been a very big shock to me when I heard the news of the passing of my boss, former President Jerry John Rawlings. I call him my boss because I'm a cadre of the revolution, and he's given me a lot of training, especially in Cuba and America. Rawlings was such a role model. He was a leader by example. When he came onto the political scene in Ghana, he taught us to the dignity in hard work. He sent us to the cocoa farms. We brought locked up cocoa from the farms to the city, to the harbors. We went into the gutters to distill the gutters, to clean the country. He took electricity to the northern part of Ghana, where people thought could not reach there. He brought so many changes. In fact, he brought Ghana back onto its feet, because by 79-81, the economy was in total shambles. But he revived the economy. And one thing I like about him is that he wasn't selfish. Because if he had been selfish, like some other leaders, he would have entrenched himself in power. But he was able to work to bring Ghana back to democracy by helping to promulgate the 1992 Constitution. So I'll forever remember Rawlings for being such a leader who brought Ghana back onto its feet, but who didn't want to entrench himself in power, and who, by his hard work and by the orientation he has given Ghanaians, has been able to seize coup d'etat in Ghana, and he has been able to put Ghana back on the path of democracy as we are enjoying today. We know there is still a lot to do, but he has set the foundation.
Well, of course, a view there from the Volta region. George Afe is here with me. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans.
Yeah, I mean, the business community obviously also mourning the passing of former President Rawlings. Rawlings' time when I was growing up, I remember the budgets.
You remember Kisibochi, right? You remember the economic adjustment program, SINSAP 1, SINSAP 2, those programs in those times, even going to the World Bank for programs, and even the IMF as well. Even bring it forward to the 90s, you can talk about the value-added tax, Kumi Preko, and Vision 2020. We thought that it was remote
oh,
or
goodness
far
me.
away.
Come to think about it.
And actually, we achieved that even
How
before
ominous.
all those billboards all over us even. And I've been engaging one individual who worked on one of his policies, that is the value-added tax. This is what he has to say.
Forward answer. It's the Economic Recovery Program, also called the Structural Adjustment Program. That started from about 1983. And the reason I say it's significant is that if you look at the tweet which I, posted with a graph, you could see that prior to that period, for a number of reasons, Ghana's economy was quite unstable.
Honorable, let me come to your space in particular, and one fast forward from the 80s to the early 90s and value-added tax, and today is being seen as one of the taxes that has helped grow the economy as well. What went into President Rawlings' government and his leadership in trying to push this tax across, despite the opposition that greeted its implementation?
No, before the VAT, there was significant rationalization of the tax regime. You call it rationalization, sometimes. And that was when we defined the role of our taxes. Income tax, the major taxes. Income tax had this role, which is revenue, but also as a business tax, particularly the corporate income tax. Revenue. And you can agree with me that today the VAT is the most stable source of revenue among the taxes.
But Honorable, you remember that during that time in which you were there, it was greeted with a lot of opposition. But what went into the mind of the ex-president in seeing this tax as a game changer for us?
Well, he's a man whom, as I said, was a leader.
Yeah, so that's a tech by.
Talking about the tax, and also Evans, we didn't talk about Vision 2020.
Yeah, Vision 2020.
He died in
2020. Kojo?
I don't know. I know everybody is going to have a different memory of him, but one thing that is clear is that he was one of a kind. And for everything you say about him, the opposite is probably true as well. So much as you might see him as having been a towering figure, somebody who was considered to be menacing and scary, he was also loving and approachable and caring. So everything you say about him, the opposite is probably true as well. And there are very few of such humans. We were blessed with one. And today, he ended his journey on Ghana. Flight Lieutenant Rawlings.
You will hate to love him, and just like what in Chi they would say that Nimpaya does, you can win to win,
Well, George, thank you very much. Kojo, Kojo, thank you very much as well. Of course, today it's all about a nation in grief, but some of the story you're watching for you tonight, the Food and Drugs Authority has applied for an injunction against the broadcaster of the investigative documentary, The Returned Bribe. The head of legal affairs at the FDA, Cynthia Dapa Into, made the application to the High Court for an injunction. The documentary, which was produced by Manasseh Zuria, when it reveals that the FDA's head of legal negotiated for a bribe of $200,000 from the CEO of Koa FS, allegedly. She later took 600,000 CDs, which she returned later with a complaint that the amount did not match what was negotiated as alleged in the documentary. My colleague Ernest Menu joins me in the studio with more. So what is Cynthia Dapinto seeking from the court?
She's asking the court for an interlocutory injunction restraining the defendant or respondent, that's the workers, previous assigns, and all who seek to air or circulate the documentary named The Return Bribe, or any other related material, either in whole or in part on television, radio, or on any social media platform pending the determination of the substantive matter.
Now, apart from the injunction, there's also another suit. Tell us about it.
And yes, there's one involving three defendants, Manasseh Zuria, the investigative journalist who produced this documentary, the multimedia group, and Samuel Atu Duncan, who's the CEO of the Koa FS.
What decision has the management of the multimedia group taken on the documentary, which was scheduled to air, in fact, this evening?
Yeah, so upon advice from the company's lawyers, management has decided that out of respect for the courts, as we've always done, it will be, put on hold. That's the documentary, with the airing of the documentary until the injunction application is heard come November 24.
Okay. We're also learning tonight that the board chairman of the Food and Drugs Authority has released a press statement on this investigative documentary. What does the board chair say?
And so I'll read for you portions of that statement issued by the FDA following the release of this document. It says that the attention of the Chief Executive Officer and the Governing Board of the Food and Drugs Authority has been drawn to the documentary aired on Joy News titled The Return Bribe, Alleging Corruption and Bribery at the Authority. The Authority responds as follows. 1. The matter came to the notice of the CEO in April 2020. The CEO immediately reported the matter to the National Security, which has since been conducting its investigations. The CEO has reported the matter to the board chairman, and administration is following its internal investigation and disciplinary processes. The final point here says that the board has set up a committee which is investigating the matter in entirety.
Okay. Thank you very much. And let's move on. Some callers on the Super Morning Show, they've been sharing their views on this particular piece also all day. We'll bring you more on this developing story. But that's it for Newsnight tonight, on the day when, of course, the nation mourns the passing of the first president of this Fourth Republic, Jerry John Rawlings, the man you knew popularly as simply as JJ. Enjoy the rest of your evening.